We've all been very focused on how to stay healthy these days, but we've not been talking about hydration. If you get coronavirus, flu, or even experience allergies, cold, a variety of everyday ailments, they all need hydration. And that's why it's a perfect time to welcome our friends at Hydrolyte back. This is a great product. You all know I've talked about it for a long time. This was the hydration product I wanted to invent, and they got it there before me. Now, remember, dehydration can make you feel sick, even a slight amount, and none of us need that anxiety right now. So stay well hydrated. I am thrilled to welcome our good friends at Hydrolyte back to the show. Longtime fans remember my obsession with Hydrolyte, which is literally the best hydration product I have found. I'm even more excited to introduce their brand new single-serve powder sticks. Simply pour one powder stick into a glass of water. They recommend 7 ounces. The powder dissolves instantly and creates the perfect balance of sodium, glucose, and water to deliver up to 4 times the electrolytes of your typical sports drink. And think about it. You can take this anywhere. You should have it on hand to just pour it into water, and you have a real significant hydration product. The other great news about Hydrolyte, the powder sticks, they are 100% natural, no artificial flavors, colors, or sweeteners, and they are available in flavors like orange and lemonade, and they taste great. Hydration is crucial. Hydrolyte is the fastest and easiest way to stay ahead of it. And you can find Hydrolyte powder sticks in the digestive aisle at Walgreens or Amazon, or simply just go to my website, drdrew.com/Hydrolyte. Again, that is drdrew.com/HYDRALYTE. You see it spelled here. There it is. And you enter the code DRDrew18 to save 30% off your order. Forget the runs on toilet paper. There should be runs on this. This is doing much more for your health than toilet paper. So go get some. Have it on hand. If anybody in your family gets sick, you need to keep them hydrated, and that's how you do it.
Hey, everyone. It's a dose of Dr. Drew.
Hi, everybody. Somebody on the stream asked how much of the Hydrolyte should you be drinking? And depends, right? I mean, if you're an athlete who's out running in this heat, you might need 3 of these a day. If you were someone older than myself with congestive heart failure, you should have none of these every day. It's a little too high a content of sodium to really be good for you. So talk to your doctor if there's any question about it at all. It's really primarily young, healthy people, meaning under the age of 50 without active cardiac problems of any type. All righty, so you guys are piling in here. We got a lot to get into today. Yes, Tom Cigars, stay hydrated, Mommy. That's right. I want to thank my friends at The Fighter and the Kid. I did their show today, and stay tuned for a new project me and Brendan Schaub might be coming up with.
Oh, Drew, gosh, it just
could be very interesting, so stay tuned for that. And how funny is Susan? How funny is my producer? This is a dose of Dr. Drew and just you. Is that what the banner said? That's right.
Just took a sip of water.
That's what I'm talking about. All right. So
no guests today.
No guests today. Just
no
you.
Zoom.
Just me in the stream.
No phone calls.
No phone calls.
How's the sound? I need to have all my mommies telling me how my sound sucks today.
Or not.
It's really loud, but we have nobody to compare it against, so it's probably no complaints so far.
So far, it looks good. So throw your questions onto the chat stream there. I'm watching at YouTube and my Facebook and everywhere. 62-year-old menopause, horrible hot flashes, especially in the evening. I've done 24-hour urine tests, and those were negative. I have hypothyroidism, and blood results are in the normal range. So, Cheryl, you should watch the pod we did with Dr. Donovitz. Is that up now, Susan, on the website?
It's in 2 parts. It's on YouTube, Facebook, and Periscope.
Yeah, you would be benefited from the conversation that I had with him.
She's Facebook, yeah.
It's a little bit involved, but go watch the entire episode, and you'll see that thyroid and testosterone and progesterone and estrogen figure in together into helping women restore their. People, all too often, doctors resort to antidepressants, and that's the wrong thing to do very often. So there we go. Terry wants to know my thoughts on gastric bypass. I mean, it depends on the situation, of course, but I've seen many catastrophes from gastric bypass. So please understand, it's a major surgery, it's a major disruption of your gastrointestinal tract, chronic aspirations, all sorts of dumping syndromes, nutritional issues that develop. So there better be a damn good reason to do it, and it better be worth the risk. That's all I'm saying. No, MMR will not protect you against COVID, my dear Catherine. I'm sorry about that. So let me put something up on the screen here. We're going to take the chat off for a second. I want to show you something I observed. I was looking at that I think is very interesting. This is the COVID tracking project. Okay.
Hold on a second.
Okay. And COVID tracking project is probably the best source of data we have out there. Andrew Ashkazvili, who I haven't seen on the stream yet today.
He's here.
Oh, is he there?
Mm-hmm. He's like the 4th guy on.
Okay. He and I gave up on the can't remember the name of it anymore, the University of Washington data, because it's just so delayed. You can't really make anything of it. But look at this data from the COVID tracking project. This is the national graphs of the entirety of the COVID-19 outbreak. And there's several very interesting things going on here. Now I am making these interpretations without any evidentiary basis for it. I'm just suggesting that based on these graphs, I think you can draw the following conclusions. Right? We've had two peaks. If you look at the pink data in the right upper corner, that's the new cases. And what's interesting is if you look at the first peak there just before, I guess that's May, right? The March, April, May peak. Nope, the pink one. To the right of that. Yeah, so the March, April, May peak, the first peak.
No, it's July. Oh, the first peak, this one?
Right, that peak. Now go down to the left-hand corner, the blue one. That's right there, yes. That is the peak of hospitalizations that mirrored that initial outbreak. And you see it was about 40,000 hospitalizations. Then it comes under control. Now let's go back to the pink. The pink starts to descend and we're having lesser outbreak. And then we get into this summer surge thing. And we can debate all day on what caused it or anything. But here's what's interesting. You get up to around 80,000 cases per day, right? That's the number of cases in the country per day. Go back now to hospitalizations. We have the exact same number of hospitalizations in that second peak as we had during the first peak when there were literally less than half as many daily cases. So that suggests, though we had twice the cases, we learned how to keep people out of the hospital, and or the kind of people that were getting these COVID outbreaks in this summer surge were young and otherwise hardy and didn't get much in the way of need for hospitalization. But there's another really important thing in here. Now go down to the right corner. Look at so that first peak mark that lines up with that pink peak in the first outbreak.
April
You see
22nd.
you see in April the death rate was very high, and it coincided with the hospitalization rate. Now the same hospitalization rate peaking at 60,000. Look at that death rate. We literally more than half of the death rate. So of the people, the point is here, we are doing so much better keeping people who are hospitalized out of the ICUs, out of the ground, frankly. They're not dying. They're recovering. Now again, some of that may be the kind of people getting the infection, but I'm going to theorize that this is a function of the therapeutics that we've been talking about the last few weeks, the things like leronlimab and Decadron and convalescent plasma. All this stuff has had a marked effect on the death rate, and in spite of twice the cases, same number of hospitalizations. So even if we have another surge, we might even see, well, first of all, the interesting thing in the pink, Susan, go back now to the pink data. If you go all the way to the right, I mean, look at the slope there, right? That slope is accelerating. So the number of cases in this country is dropping off precipitously. And some of the death data is a lagging indicator. So I'm going to predict that case rate is going to continue dropping. I don't know how low it's going to go. It's going to be interesting. But that the death rate, that one, is going to, in about another week, decline dramatically. It's all very interesting. So it's all good news. Of course, you don't hear any of it in the press. I don't know why.
Boring.
It's boring. Christopher Rubio tells me there's a new hydroxychloroquine out of Belgium, too, that shows some efficacy. So it's boring because the medical system now starting to kick in and do its thing. Something I've said from the beginning, which was that Fauci would keep us out of real trouble, which he has, that we should be wearing our masks. They work. That's why we're having such a rapid decline. And that nobody's better than the U.S. healthcare system in terms of coming up with therapeutics. This is where we've had a dramatic effect on how to treat this thing. So there you go. I'm going to go through your points here. Yes, Tom Cigar, they're killing it out there. The opposite of killing it. They're doing a great job. Good news. That's right. You don't hear it in the press for political reasons, I guess, it might be business reasons, right? The press now seems to be no longer interested in delivering the news. It's interested in attracting eyeballs only. And if that means distortions and hoaxes, that's what they do. So here we are. Why are the governors insisting on keeping the economy stifled? Linda, that is something I've been asking for weeks because I could see this data coming. I see it out there clinically as well. So I could see that we were going to be in this wave of improvement. So why not let people move about a little bit? What the governors and what our mayor here in Los Angeles has been telling us is, well, I need to see this persist for 2 weeks. See what's the threshold that he wants to go for 2 weeks is my question. He keeps moving the target. Well, I want to see improvement. Another 2 weeks. Another 2 weeks. Stop it. Stop it. He does something extremely destructive to Southern Californians. He has a terrorism scale, a scale from green to red, with orange is where he's stuck us, and continues to threaten us with our powerlessness that he's going to close it all down. Very, very poor healthcare messaging. It's why people are pushing back on the masks. What happens when people are inconsistent and hypocritical or overly heavy-handed, the public will push back on health messaging. You need to use humor and relatable sources and narratives. They're doing the opposite. And it's, of course, people are not going to do the right thing then. It's ridiculous. All righty. Can I reach the governor and have some positive conflict resolution, Ms. Kaylee asks. I don't think so. My partner, Alex Michelson, got to him. He's a reporter. And that he asked him what he thought about, what's her name? Somebody help me. The dark-haired woman from, I think she's from like CNBC, who was the governor's ex-wife, what he thought about her comments, and he wouldn't answer it. And she called California some names. You guys will come up with her name in a second. Kimberly Kilfoyle. Kimberly. Okay,
Don't ask me. I'm
Guilfoyle. Guilfoyle. Kimberly Guilfoyle. That's right. Thank you, guys. And then, Susan, you have a funny, interesting little novelty maneuver you want to try. You want to tell them about that?
Okay, so the other day I was on my phone and I could see that we could take questions, when you're on your phone and you're on Facebook.
Yeah.
And it said, do you want to talk to this person? But it's not popping up, unfortunately, on my PC. I think that might just be a phone thing. See how I'm on here with all the Facebook people?
Yes.
Hi, everybody. There was a thing on my phone where it said, would you like to chat with this person? And I don't know if they have to request it or if I can do it on a PC, but it'd be kind of cool if we could do that because it'd be fun.
If you guys see a request to chat with the person you're watching, maybe push that button and maybe Susan will see it and put you on.
I don't know. Maybe I saw it on my phone, but
we were trying to do something like the way Instagram Live works. We're trying to come up with something like that.
No,
so
I just thought I saw it on my
here.
phone there, and I said, "Oh, it'd be kind of cool if we could get the people from Facebook." But I don't know if there's some if it must only work on your iPhone.
Okay, so Brian Baker asked, "What's your basic diet? And what about the creatine power? And can you keep the muscle without all the confusing vitamins?" Brian, if you're under the age of 40, you shouldn't need any supplements. Really, just maintain a well-balanced diet, high protein. I have a metabolic syndrome, and I have found that cutting out carbohydrates is an extremely important thing for me. So I'm on very, very limited carbohydrates. Helps me a lot with my cravings. Helps me a lot with everything, sleep, everything. I do take about 5,000 units of vitamin D. I do take 1,000 units of vitamin C. I do take 500 of quercetin. I do take 25 milligrams of elemental zinc. Those are the supplements I take. And I take some other stuff because I'm older. I have to take blood pressure medicine, cholesterol medicine too. And so it's, I'm a big believer in the believer. The evidence is good for vitamin D, calcium, and zinc and quercetin in this COVID era. You shouldn't necessarily need all those supplements in a differing time, though vitamin D is one thing that keeps coming out as something that people should be supplemented, particularly in their middle ages and beyond. Let's see. I'm trying to look at your questions
Somebody
here.
just
Magnesium.
asked if you're going to be with Theo Vaughn.
Oh, I am going to be with Theo Vaughn with Brendan Schaub.
And then he's going to come on our show.
Yes, Theo's coming on towards the end of September. Magnesium is another good product, especially in the evening time for sleep. I do push a magnesium product because I was, not just because, I was trained by an endocrinologist, a fellow of mine, who just pushed magnesium as an important molecule that we don't often supplement and that we're deficient in generally and should be supplemented a lot. Magnesium supplementation is a positive thing. It can be helpful as a cofactor with calcium in people who are heading towards osteoporosis. Something to think about, talk to your doctor about. All right, give me your questions here. I'm trying to follow you guys. The name involved in the, okay. Yes, gang, gang, buzz, buzz. Thank you, Sly. That's who I was with. Positive conflict resolution. We keep focusing on the problem, similar to TDS, Trump derangement syndrome. As you know, people understand mental health consequences due to the shutdown. Okay. So you're kind of throwing some interesting stuff out there. That the mental health consequences of the shutdown, I think, are going to become an object of much more national scrutiny soon, because the numbers are escalating rapidly and crazily. That the incidence of depression, suicide, overdose, alcoholism is going through the roof. And the isolation and the negativity and the helplessness and powerlessness and the lack of social contact, lack of meaningful engagement so you can do something with your life, all these things really are negatively impacting our country and our mental health. And it's something that's got to be addressed. Just look at our streets if you want to know what a crappy job they're doing with mental health. And we have to get very serious and very direct and very stop sugarcoating it. It was something that it's why I was so, one of the reasons I was talking and speaking so aggressively against the press when they were pushing this panic, because I could see what was coming. I could see people making medical decisions that aren't used to making risk-reward analysis, and they would have untoward effect. I could see the mental health consequences coming. And I knew we could trust Fauci, and that's about all you should be thinking about is him. Now, I know a lot of you on my chat are very down on Fauci these days, and I respect your opinions. I listen and read your opinions. But I will tell you, I've had decades of experience with that man, and been pretty much beyond reproach all the way across and spot on in all of his things. Caroline Renee, melatonin at night is okay. Taking more than about 5 milligrams, we'll see. Eric Anderson, I heard Dr. So on Rogan say she didn't believe in sex porn addiction. Eric, she's going to be on tomorrow, and that's exactly one of the things I want to discuss with her. So thank you for bringing that up. I'm going to make a note of that because she is going to be on the show. Both she and Rogan seem to get very confused about addiction and the nature of addiction.
Who are you talking about?
Deborah So, Dr. So is in here tomorrow at noon.
Oh, really? Let me show the banner.
Okay. You're
too slow. You're too fast.
There she is. And my daughter's going to come in here too, because she's now writing a book where we get into some gender stuff, and I thought it'd be good to have Paulina ask some questions of Dr. So. Well, that'll be tomorrow at noon Pacific. And both she and Rogan got very confused also about the biology of sex. They got into all kinds of interesting territory that was just wrong. And I want to sort of explore some of that with her and see if it changes her opinions at all. And although Dr. So has been sort of on the cancel spectrum, we are not intending to hurt anybody. We are intending just to talk about science and try to refine our understanding of these things. Trav Lund is asking about Subutex. I'm not a fan of Subutex. I got into treatment, drug addiction, to go for abstinence-based treatment. But for some people for whom that's not a possibility, Subutex can be life-changing, life-saving, really. And the trick is, much like what we're going to talk about with Dr. So tomorrow, it's for doctors to figure out who the right patient is for the right dose, for the right duration. And that is something that is difficult for doctors to answer, or they don't frankly have the experience to do it. Will there be an audit of deaths being counted as COVID? I don't know if that's true. Is there any issues with using hydrochloroquine protocol with AFib? I would talk to your doctors about medication interaction. That's the only concern. It's interesting to me that I think I mentioned to people that I was doing my rheumatology continuing medical education. And of course, hydroxychloroquine or Plaquenil was used in many cases, and it was many of the answers in what should you do here. But one of the things that even surprised me, because I've never seen a side effect from Plaquenil, they were advocating that Plaquenil be continued throughout a pregnancy, that it had no effect on a pregnancy, which to me was like, wow, I don't know any medication they're being urged to continue during pregnancy because it's so safe. How is Dr. Peterson doing? You mean Patterson? I think he's doing great. Yeah, well, Trav Lund, Subutex can be addictive. Absolutely can be. Bob Forrest was addicted to that. The active agent in that. And he used to use it to get by between his heroin. All right, I'm looking at your questions again. What's going on with leronlimab? I'm not sure. Just watch Dr. Yo out there on Twitter. He keeps updating. Going. What is an Abilify detox like? Usually not much of anything, in my experience. Sly, what about Jordan Peterson? Okay.
Sly.
What's the vortex, B-World? What is the vortex? So, Susan, anybody coming up on the Facebook thing?
Yeah, I can't find the thing on I can't get it on the PC. I guess it's
Okay.
only a phone thing.
Okay, we can't get that
It
up
was
there.
such a cool idea. It'd be really cool to be able to talk to people.
Mark, when will the when will the nasal spray to prevent COVID be available? I'm going to say that's a ways off. That's a ways off because again, that's not going to be in the fast track situation. I suspect it's going to be in the usual FDA approval process.
But I'm having fun just putting like Facebook up and putting up. Here's YouTube. Here's all the YouTube comments in a row.
From YouTube. Okay. And Emmett, that's an interesting point. Eric Anderson, who's saying you should not wear masks because they'll give you a false sense of security. Then he flip-flopped.
Jordan Peterson.
He hasn't seen a patient in 40 plus years. Who are you? Oh, you're talking about, who are you talking about there, Emmett? I want to know who you're referring to, and then I can kind of address that. Do I foresee a spike in the fall? I do not. My only question is, I think, Teresa, we're going to live with this virus for the next few months. My question is, at what level is it going to percolate along? That's really the question in my mind. And people ought to be prepared for the fact that it's going to be with us, but what are we going to aim for? 800 cases a day or 8,000 cases a day? Or what's our sort of goal? The goals were extremely unrealistic at first. The LA County Department of Health was saying they wanted, before anybody moved out of their house, they wanted no deaths for 2 weeks. When they said that, I was like, well, we're never coming out. That's it. Never coming out. Because that was the most ridiculous parameter I've ever seen. Of course, it'd be great if we could do that. 200 milligrams of zinc, 200 quercetin and 20 of zinc is not quite right. But again, we're not exactly sure of the dosing. So what about the dentist talking about mask mouth? I'm not sure what to make of that. I know dryness of the mouth can add to cavities. Jordan Peterson
is ill. Somebody said.
I know he's ill. He's been ill for 6 months, and I'm going to tell you, I could have prevented. It makes me kills me. It's like looking at the homeless. I know exactly how to treat those people. I know exactly how I could have treated Jordan Peterson and prevented this whole nightmare he's been in. He got strung out on Klonopin, not addicted. He got dependent on Klonopin, and they took him off suddenly. He developed a withdrawal akathisia, which no one knows how to treat because no one had seen it before, and they didn't even understand what they were dealing with. I've seen it a lot. I know how to treat it, and we could have taken care of it in weeks. Ugh. And then I heard also B-World that he got COVID on top of everything else, which is just. Ugh. Nedmar, yes, a case of bubonic plague was discovered in the homeless. Was it in this homeless Nedmar? I think it was actually just in a South Lake Tahoe individual, but that tells you we know it's here. It's here now. It's in adults, and it's just a matter of months before it gets into the rodents here in Southern California, which it will be, and then it will get into the homeless, and then it will rip through the homeless. So I've been saying this for 2 years, and no one has listened to me. But bubonic plague follows the typhus, which we've had now for the last 3 years. We've done nothing to control the rat population. The homeless population has increased. The debris and all the feces and all the food and whatnot is increased. We're going to get more rats. We're going to get the plague. Period. It's coming. It's coming. And no one's doing anything. And then in the meantime, we're going to make our mayor, who's created this situation, if Joe Biden wins, he wants to make him the head of housing and urban development. I have two reactions. The one is, great, get him away from us. But my God, the guy that made the worst homeless crisis in the country, you're going to make him in charge of housing? It's crazy. Andrew, I don't know that there's going to be a mild flu season. I'll tell you why. Because remember Dr. Fauci's original concern about masks. So Andrew Ashkazvili says, flu season may be mild because of everyone masking and distancing. Distancing would help with the flu season. But flu is transmitted on the hands. primarily, which is why Dr. Fauci didn't want us wearing masks, because we thought originally that this COVID virus is probably transmitted on hands too, like influenza. So our hands at our face messing with our mask is anathema to what we want. It's the opposite of what we want to do. So it's interesting to think that it may not help with the influenza outbreak. So please get your flu vaccine. Just get the damn vaccine.
Joshua Brazil said, your son got typhus, so I'm sleeping on a homeless camp, doctor. And I was thinking to myself, well, that ice rink was kind of like a homeless
Yeah,
camp.
he got it from a rat-infested bleacher at an ice skating rink.
Pickwick.
A CDC is backing off the asymptomatic testing and reducing the quarantine. I completely agree with the reducing quarantine. I always thought 14-day was silly. The 85% of cases are in by day 7. And the recommendations for asymptomatic testing, I'm going to predict they're going to come out. I'm hoping they come out with a home test, a mail-in test, or a test we can all buy at the grocery store, that they will shift the asymptomatic testing into a broader screening procedure. Right now, the symptomatic testing is a diagnostic testing. So they pick up the cases that are COVID, but let's screen for the total penetrance of the disease, and that's a different strategy. So my bet is they're going to come up with another recommendation in a few weeks. Okay. Do I think vaccine finally allow things to open up? Yes, Eric, I do. And I cannot get that vaccine fast enough. How is California? Are deaths dropping? Yes, they are dramatically. But, well, not dramatically. The cases are dropping dramatically. The hospitalizations are dropping dramatically. The death rate, you have to remember, is a lagging indicator. So it's going to be another week or so, and then you'll see them really drop off. How do you know if you're addicted to cannabis? Adara, the way you know you're addicted to anything is if you have consequences because of your using, unpleasant consequences. You want to stop, you try to stop, and you can't seem to. That's addiction. That lets you know you have it. And there are people like me that can help you with that. That's all. Yes, it is possible, Bryce, to be on Adderall long-term and not have significant side effects of any type, frankly. Thank you, Tamuel Pombo. I've been trying to calm everybody, so I appreciate you saying that. He's saying thank you for calming us, because I've been trying to cut through the BS that is out there, which is extraordinary. Okay, that's not what Fauci was saying, Emmett says. He said nothing about masks being effective due to possibly touching your face. Emmett, I know for sure you are categorically wrong. I watched the video multiple times where he was interviewed and gave his opinion about the mask, and what he said was, we don't know if they work. You'll start touching your face. He made a big issue of touching the face. And he had a third concern about it. Oh, and of course that we needed them for the first responders, for the first line personnel. And that's what he said. I watched it. I watched the interview. I watched it repeatedly. And that's what he said. And that's what I knew he was talking about. You don't know that because you haven't been reared on that the way he and I have. He and I have been reared from an infectious disease standpoint that the hands are the major cause, the major problem, which is why you were all washing your hands after bringing in the vegetables from the grocery store, why we were all freaking out about Amazon packages, because the presumption was hands to fomite to hands is how it's transmitted. And guess what? Turned out to be not true. Lisa's asking if I'm a positive there's going to be a vaccine in a few months. I am not positive. I have spoken to researchers that are positive, so I'm going to take their word for it. And they're very excited about it, and they're very excited about the outcomes they're seeing. Do I think with essential thrombocytosis, you could be accepted to a vaccine program? Why do you have essential thrombocytosis? So you might have a myeloproliferative disorder, so I'm going to bet not. I'm going to bet they won't take you for that vaccine study. And oh no, will the plague kill hundreds of thousands like COVID-19? Mark, I don't believe so. I don't believe so. But the problem with plague is that it's rodent vectored, flea vectored. So we're going to have to all clean out our pets and our houses. The rodents are going to have to be dealt with by the millions. That's going to take a while. And in the meantime, any contact of somebody with plague can die within days. That's the problem. That's the concern. It can rip through before people really understand what they're dealing with. It will not be, the R naught will be higher, but it will not go as far. George, is NYC at risk for plague? Well, nobody's there right now, so it's not so much at risk. But it doesn't have the same kind of rat problem that we have. And the rats are different, and they carry different fleas and different pathogens. Here, we have typhus and plague. That's what we have in Southern California. You don't have that so much in the rats in New York. And by the way, those are underground rats. Ours are above ground rats. Let's see. Isn't there a treatment for the plague? Yes, there is, actually. It's tetracycline, but tetracycline is almost never used for pneumonia. So if somebody comes in with pneumonia and you put them on usual therapy, they're going to die. And in that period of time that you're trying to figure out what's going on, they could affect dozens of other people. When will I get on Joe Rogan's podcast? Sean, your mouth to God's ears. Symptoms of bubonic plague, couple things, fever, chills, all that stuff. You can get pneumonias. You can develop buboes. Buboes. That's why it's called bubonic plague. It is the buboes that characterize bubonic plague. And buboes are very large, painful lymph nodes that actually can break out of your skin. They can actually pus out. So that's good times. Brady has diverticulosis, as do most people. No big deal. Typhus and plague in San Diego as well, Rich. Rich, I don't know what's going on with the rat population down there. I don't believe you have the same problem that we have. Of course, if our rodents have a massive plague outbreak, it will transmit further down into Southern California and San Diego. But your mayor has been doing a decent job with the homeless thing there. He's actually been looking at it as a mental health crisis and treating it. Shocking. So the consequences have been less. Linda, how am I sounding angry about? What am I angry? Yesterday you were talking
That's
about differences between jealousy and envy. Do you think it's akin to guilt and shame? No, Eric, I do not. Guilt and shame are two very, very different feelings. Though if you are envious of somebody because they have more, you could feel shame. And so protecting yourself from shame is a way of expressing envy to knock somebody else down. But they're very different emotions. Guilt is, I've done something wrong, I did something wrong. Shame is, there is something wrong with me. I am bad. Is there any evidence that asymptomatic people can spread COVID? I believe so, but I can't quote data on it right now. The lung vaping disease was due to was single source product of cannabis, bootleg cannabis products. It's not vaping. It was these bootleg products that cause all those lung-related diseases. Of course, they went away because they put the clamps on that product. Joe Rogan is all that Nancy? I don't know what that means. How's my mental health? Depression on a scale of 1 to 10. Frustration 10, depression 6. Because of we had a lot of stuff planned for the summer that we were looking forward to, and it was all taken away. And it's only like slowly we're starting to get back to stuff, right? So that is, Sly, what are you laughing about? I'm not quite seeing. And Linda and Flora May's onto that laugh stream as well. Is there a correlation between early childhood sexual trauma and short-term memory? Suzanne, not really. In fact, people that have trauma sometimes have acute memories. They keep rehearsing memories to the point where they torture themselves with it. So, all right. Is there anything else, Susan, you want to get into?
No, I'm just looking at this random site.
What random site is that?
I don't know. It's this email I get from this Doximity.com.
Oh, Doximity's a medical doctor thing. I don't know why you got strapped into that.
Like, here's an article. The rush to create COVID-19 vaccine may do more harm than good. The focus on speed risks damaging public confidence in vaccines.
Of course, that's what everyone's worried about. That the anti-vaxxers will then come in and say, see, vaccines are bad and dangerous.
This was August 18th.
Yeah, and it's these things. All these vaccines are looking so good and so safe.
Here's a good one. I had some people staying at our house this summer, and they made me change the air conditioning filter.
I have not found Doximity articles to be well founded.
I know, but
I
mean, this is what's being put out there.
It's what you're getting. I don't know.
Can the virus be spread by air conditioning systems? Mm-hmm. Here's what researchers do and don't yet know. I mean, nobody knows, but it's a good way of making people paranoid that live in hot places. You know,
Lisa's saying,
that's what I'm doing.
okay. Lisa's saying, people said this will be gone by summer. Why should we believe it'll be gone by next year? I don't know anybody said it with any definitiveness. We saw the decline, and so people went, oh, maybe this thing is over, or maybe it's the season. Maybe it doesn't like the heat. Well, then lo and behold, we get our summer outbreak, and all those theories were thrown out the window. The reason people are saying it's going to go away next year is because of vaccine therapy. I mean, that's, when we vaccinate everybody, it will go away. Thank you, Kelly Tracy, for the listening to us at your mom's house. And how about by watching DNC, RNC as little as possible, my only reaction with the DNC was, I wish they had done more it's now no longer a convention, it's a television show. And so it should be produced by television people if they want the right impact. And the DNC seemed to have missed that. The RNC seemed to have learned that lesson. That's the only thing only reaction I kind of had. Is it reasonable to think getting COVID is less risky than getting a new tech vaccine as a 20-something? Jessica, that is the decision matrix you have to decide for yourself. A lot of people are deciding they would rather get the COVID or risk getting COVID than risk the potential consequence of a new vaccine. Now, generally speaking, after 6 months of wide distribution of a vaccine, you kind of know its safety profile. So if you wanted to wait 6 months, that's very rational. I know some vaccine therapists, specialists are actually advocating for that. Personally, I don't want COVID. I'm in somewhat of a risk category, so I think it's worth the risk reward for me is to go ahead and get the vaccine early.
I want to be an asymptomatic carrier, though. I don't want to hurt anybody with it, but I want to find out I was an asymptomatic carrier. I'm sorry, that's just me.
I know you want to be an asymptomatic carrier.
But did you know that the oleandrin is a deadly plant poison, not a COVID-19 cure? Do people really believe that?
Well, oleander flower. Maybe I'm the only doctor you would talk to who
like those oleanders.
Who has treated oleander poisoning. I have treated oleander poisoning. People that are really serious about committing suicide use oleander flower.
Oh, don't tell people
I'm not going to tell you how to do it, but I had somebody figure out how to do it once, and we have a lot of oleander in this part of the country. And
maybe they got them mixed
if
up
they
with
take
pansies.
no.
Pansies you can put in a salad.
This was somebody who you have to cook the thing in a certain way. I'm not going to tell you how. And this person did it and survived only once you take enough, we cannot reverse it. She survived only because she didn't take enough.
There's a mention underneath by Judith, a psychiatrist said, William Zapata, why not? I don't know what, go ahead and try it.
No. The oleander, it's extremely, it causes your heart to essentially stop.
Yeah, but who said it was? That's what I want to know.
I don't know. I saw that floating around somewhere, and then I remembered that case from many years ago that I treated.
I just, these articles are they're foreign language to me, but still.
Yeah, it is really damaging, dangerous stuff. So it's funny, you guys have not had any, that may be from me.
All right, you can't go. You're busy. I'll get I'll grab it. No, it's line one.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. I had some calls scheduled because we started so late. But it's okay. It's all right. You can let it go. Is it nightshade or hemlock? Isn't it like? I think it's different. I think it's different. Will pneumonia vaccine help if you get the flu? No, Todd. A pneumonia vaccine is for pneumococcal pneumonia and all the different subtypes of pneumococcal pneumonia. Okay. The influenza causes pneumonia. Viral pneumonias due to influenza or other viruses there are many, many hundreds of causes of pneumonia. Pneumonia just means infection of the lung tissue, usually associated with the parenchyma getting infected and the air sacs getting filled with fluid. That's why it's dangerous. But it can be caused by bacteria, pneumococci, or it can be caused by viruses. Or it can be caused by Yersinia. It's another bacterium, thus the bubonic plague. And there you go. No, you're not a cool guy, Brian, if you go to DBT, Dialectical Behavioral Therapy.
That was George from Django.
Oh, good. Is he going to call back?
Yeah, in 10 minutes.
Good. Excellent. Excellent.
I want to give a shout out to Nicolo, just in case he's hanging around on
Yeah, Nicolo's going to be mad at
YouTube.
Susan because she skipped a show yesterday. We apologize. Yesterday?
No, he didn't.
Didn't we skip a show yesterday? Day before or something? We skipped
No.
one. I remember we
Tuesday.
Tuesday
I
we
took
skipped
a day
a
off
show.
in
I know
2
he doesn't
weeks.
like that. He wants to look every day. So we'll see what he says
I needed a
about
day
that.
off. I went to the market and
Tom Cigars wants to
bought
know how
groceries and-
Robert Paul Champagne is doing. Robert Paul Champagne is thriving during all of this. You got to remember, this has not made things very different for him. I will tell you, having visited his house, this is a character that we visit at your mom's house, Dr. Drew After Dark. His environment, his living environment, concerned me greatly because it's his elevators are the size of this computer screen. It's like this wide, and the hallways are as well. So I worried that this was an environment where the COVID could spread wildly. Those sorts of 1960s eras housing developments, terrible for COVID. But he didn't come out. He never came out. He didn't need to, so he did fine. So he's staying well.
Okay, Drew, what about this article? A vaccine that stops COVID-19 won't be enough. And then it says, wait, I'm going to go back.
Worldwide, it may not be enough. They're talking about worldwide delivery. Worldwide, see, there's problems with worldwide delivery. That's what this article's about. And so our first order of business is to solve the problem here in this country. But worldwide, first of all, you have to come up with a cheap vaccine. That's why there's so many different vaccines. One of the reasons there's so many different vaccines being investigated. And then you have to have a delivery system. Look no further than Bill Gates, how crazy it gets when you try to deliver vaccines worldwide. I see so much paranoid conspiracy theories around him. I can't even tell you. And all he did was went out and tried to use vaccine therapies.
8 vaccine candidates are undergoing large-scale efficacy tests.
Mm-hmm.
So that I wanted to know about that.
Yep.
But that was by the New York Times. I don't know why.
Let's see. She's hearing Linda, you're hearing my frustration, not anger. You worry about my health. I'm watching that. I'm watching that.
He's good.
I am been good. Yeah, because I've been working out more and eating strict. I'm just here, so it's easy to attend to my health. Tom says, in the 80s, I used mushrooms and acid dozens of times. Am I mentally doomed? I worry more about the acid than the mushrooms, but you would know it if you had memory and short-term memory problems. So if I can't take the flu, I'm not sure I'm taking COVID. Bonnie, why can't you take the flu vaccine? Are you egg albumin allergic? There are alternatives out there for that if you want to make sure you get your vaccine. Is the death rate high for 30-year-olds? 35 and under, your probability of dying is 0.0001. That data was just out recently. So Mark, death rate 0.0001. Now, I have a 10% probability of dying of prostate cancer. I'm a prostate cancer patient. I have a 90% probability of cure. I consider myself cured. 90% is essentially cured. So think about it. I mean, that's how we think about these things in medicine. If we can get somebody to a 90% probability of good outcome, we consider that going to be a good outcome. And when you get to numbers like 0.0001, think about it. Bonnie, there are alternatives, but they're hard to come by, and it's a pain in the ass. And I understand a lot of people who are egg allergic just don't take the vaccines. I get that. I thought the flu vaccine was like 30% effective. Depends on the flu season. And remind you, we only have to get like 60, 70% effective to really be getting a herd immunity going. We don't have to be 100% effective. Ivermectin, you guys have questions about that. I don't have a strong, I don't always know the trade name, so I got to look up. Is ivermectin an IL-6 inhibitor? I'm guessing that's what it is. And then I will tell you what I think about it once I've got it. You guys will probably answer that before I'm able to. Ivermectin. Oh, yeah. I've heard this story a little bit. It's an anti-helminth, anti-worm drug that some people are saying has some efficacy. I've not really seen any good data on that. So it's anti-parasitic. JH says that's correct. I don't have an opinion. I'm neutral on that right now. Is H1N1 in this year's shot because it is coming back? I believe it is, Jennifer. I believe H1N1 is in there. And I had H1N1. It was awful, 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 awful. Percentages for 45 and below. Let me see. Probability. I'll look it up for you.
I like your typing skills.
Yeah. Let's see. Deaths involving pneumonia, influenza, sex demographics. Here we go. World Meters has something. So 45. So 45, 40, 0. All right. So 45, 0.8%. So your probability of dying, being amongst those who die is 0.0008. Oh, no, wait, 0.008. 0.008. That's your probability of being if you're 45 years of age. If you are above that, above 45, it starts to climb a little bit, according to this data, although this data is from New York City Health Department as of May 13th. So I'm going to predict these data are improved greatly. These were previous statistics. I don't think these statistics will hold up. So let's consider them worst case scenarios. The death rate of 65 to 75, 6%, 45 to 65, 3%. So again, still 94% probability of survival and 97% probability of survival if you're under 75 years of age. And that's probably better now than it was then. So the probability of dying very low. As I said, 10% probability of dying of prostate cancer. I consider that 0. Christopher, we've been talking about the mental health thing. What are my thoughts? How can we create a new trajectory? Man, it's going to take a lot of work. It's going to change. We have to change the laws to be able to treat people with all the mental health stuff. We've decided that people can choose to be mentally ill. They just can't choose to be demented. So it's weird. Thank you, Brady. Is there the best antidepressant on the market? Caroline, it doesn't really work like that. There are many antidepressants depending on what the predominant symptomatology and your genetic heritage, that sort of thing, and what you're looking for in terms of outcome. That's how the psychiatrist makes choices. What your symptom profile is, not what's the best. What's the best for you? Yeah. So are the flu shot bad idea to get in September? It does not weaken your immune system. If anything, it's jacking up your immune system. That's the whole point of a vaccine. It's turning on your immune system. And when there are adverse effects, it's because your immune system attacks you. That's really what you worry about with vaccine side effects. I'm giving it in September. We normally give it in October, November to try to peak in March, but they're encouraging us to give it early, so I'm giving it early. Oh boy. Brady's wife is having a high degree of nausea in the first trimester of pregnancy. That is bad. Bad.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I had the worst. Oh my God. I had 3 babies. I had so much progesterone. I was sick for 12 weeks. It was gnarly.
Yeah, it's going to be rough. Here's a good Germany or Florida. Jeremy asked, the Germany or Florida is something Adam and I used to talk about whenever we'd hear some crazy macabre story. They'd always happen in either Germany or Florida. And here's a Germany or Florida. Sex clubs open, but require masks. So you can go into houses, I guess not just sex clubs, but prostitution, but you have to wear a mask. I'm going to say, my instincts say Florida, but I'm going to go Germany. A voice in my head said Florida, but it all says Germany to me. You tell me, I guess maybe Florida. Well, Florida's been a little bit recalcitrant, so it seems like Florida wouldn't do something that inconsistent.
That's Brady. Thank you for the super chat, Brady.
Is Brady the one that gave us the answer to this? No, we got to get the answer. Amanda says Florida. JH says Germany. That was from Jeremy. Jeremy, I don't see your answer up here. You're the one that asked the question, so you would know. All right. Brady, it's Florida. Well, it's Jeremy.
Brian also. He gave us a $5 super chat.
Thank you, Brian.
Yeah, if you're on YouTube and you want to give us money, we'll take it. Thank you.
It helps reimburse my... Jeremy says Germany is the answer.
Okay.
Germany is the answer. So even though we all instinctively said Florida, because Florida's not wearing their mask. They wouldn't do something that inconsistent. They would do something stupid, but not that hypocritical. Like you can have sexual contact with somebody, but you have to wear a mask. It's like,
so Eric, I'm looking at the YouTube because, we're big fans of the YouTube.
Yeah.
But We love Facebook and Periscope.
Yeah.
Eric Dobkin, did you answer the question? Have you been watching the DNC, RNC? and
Yes,
have
I did
thoughts?
answer that. I
Okay,
did
good.
answer that.
I wasn't paying attention.
Thank you for that.
But thank you, Eric. We appreciate it. If you want a question answered, we'll do it if it's a super chat.
So tomorrow, we're going to be talking to Dr. Deborah So. She's a gender and sex.
Expert.
Hang on a second.
Or-
Patrick's asking a crazy question.
She wrote a book about
here.
it.
She did. They called The End of Gender, I believe is the name of the book.
I
and
have
she's
the
a
book cover
she's a
somewhere.
very fine academic and really interesting woman. We're going to talk to her. My daughter's going to ask questions as well because my daughter and I have a book coming out where we touch on gender and I make sure we
And you're a little confused.
get it right. Patrick, is it violation of the Hippocratic Oath to weasel around the insurance company's denials in favor of the patient? If so, can we call the homeless patient demented? Doctors often advocate and stretch things on behalf of their patients in name of getting care when the insurance company is obfuscating. So I don't think we can do that with the homeless, however. All right, you guys, let's Berlin bondage clubs reopen, masks required. Thank you, Jeremy. There's the headline.
One guy said sex clubs and prostitution is legal in Germany and wearing masks in public is mandatory.
Right. You can have sex, but you have to wear a mask. There it is. I think we should be opening up wisely. It's funny, in New York City, they're really putting them. The government is pushing opening up. The government is pushing going back to school. In California, everything is about us being threatened by our government constantly. It's very weird. Very, very weird.
I want to get Dr. Oz on. Somebody asked. But,
That's Andrew.
but
Andrew's
yeah,
asking it.
But
Do you
I'm
want-
waiting for Caleb. Caleb just got out of the hospital, so we got to set up an Ask Dr. Drew. When
All
he
right,
comes.
with Dr. Oz. Nah, well, but he and I can talk so much. I don't think we need calls.
All right.
I think it's something, we have to ask him to zoom in, and he's
Right.
on East Coast time and stuff. But
Wow. We're here next week, beginning next. I guess.
all right, we can call him.
I'll get it done.
Lisa, why do I blame?
hope.
Who do I blame, or why do I blame? I'll let Lisa finish that question before I wrap up here. So what are my thoughts on T-cell immunity, significant lowering? Yeah, Jessica, I'm going to get involved with a company that is involved with measuring the restoration of normal T-cell function and how that works. And if you go back and watch the Bruce Patterson lecture and Dr. Yo interview I did, you'll see that what Dr. Patterson thinks he's doing is blocking the RANTE system so the immune system can normalize. I'm going to get involved with some guys that believe they can measure that T-cell function and be able to have a therapeutic sort of, not even a therapeutic, but a diagnostic instrument out there to help us understand what's happening with the T cells. I didn't get the Lisa again. Why do you blame? I'm not quite sure. Oh, there's Lisa. Wait, Lisa. Why blame Garcetti when Newsom is the governor? I blame Garcetti for his rhetoric and his terrorism scale, and he's terrorizing the people of Los Angeles needlessly. In the meantime, he's allowing 4 homeless people to die every day in Los Angeles. I think he's worthy of some blame. I think he's worthy of it. 4 a day. Kelly Gallagher. What's going on to Kelly Gallagher? What's the devastating news? I'm sorry, Kelly. It's the push vaccine. Well, I don't know. Kids do need to go back to school, Linda. It is the American Academy of Pediatrics has been very clear about that it is quite dangerous for kids not to be getting back to their development, both cognitively and socially. So it is time. It is time. And kids, again, if you're under 35, your probability of death is 0.0001. If you're under 15, it's really unlikely, really remote. Now, you can be asymptomatic and transmit it, and that's what people are concerned about, though. It's hyperbolic to blame Mayor for each daily death of those experiencing homelessness. Really? Nate, I disagree most strongly because he is defending the status quo, and it could be we get these. There's billions of dollars set aside to help the homeless in Los Angeles, but the laws prevent us from touching them. He could easily get involved in changing those laws easily, and we could immediately help tens of thousands of homeless immediately. In the meantime, he allows them to die on the street and calls them unhoused neighbors as opposed to drug addicts that are dying of their disease. We have to stop calling them homeless because the thought is if they're homeless, give them a home and the whole problem goes away. Impossible. That's not going to happen. They need treatment. And we talk about rendering that treatment and how we're able to render that treatment. They're going to continue dying.
My
What's that, Susan?
Michael Fetter just gave you a super chat. He said, thanks for all your work and information. You're the best sort of real insight. Love you both. Thanks for the $5.
To lay those deaths at his feet, what's hyperbolic is not the notion of better policy, but I think he has more to say. What about the mayor of Portland? Yeah, that's a similar thing, right? But different issue. This bothers me because I know how to treat these people on the street. I could help most of them, and to see them dying is extremely difficult. Ethically, it's hard to stand by and allow it. It's really difficult. Thank you, Brian. Okay, let's kind of wrap things up. Oh my gosh, in Toronto they're freezing in the street. Again, it's all in the name of not treating mental illness. I will just say this one more time. If you have dementia and you're confused and psychotic and agitated and you're wandering on the streets and you don't rush in and treat that person, you are guilty of elder abuse. If somebody is confused and psychotic and grandiose and agitated and wandering around the streets with mania or schizophrenia and you get near them, you can't. The laws prevent you. That's the insanity. On one, we must rush in. It's crazy not to help these people. On the other, we're prevented from helping them. Think how crazy that is. Same symptoms, different brain disorders, same symptoms. One can be treated, one is prevented. Really super, super crazy.
Did you see Brian P's super chat?
What was that?
He said, Pinsky for mayor of L.A.
No, thank you. No, we've thought that through, and we really don't think.
Thanks for the money, though, honey.
And
you live.
What do I think about functional zero? I don't know what that is. Okay, and to be fair, the mayor isn't the sole issue in these laws. It is of course, the legislature here in California. That's the primary people. But our leaders could get together and start to talk about how to solve these things realistically, rather than continuing a endless rhetoric, endless ideology that 15 years in place, how much better is it getting? Is this good ideology or is it killing people? I suggest something new. That's all I'm saying. Okay, let's wrap this thing up. We appreciate you guys being here. We'll be tomorrow with Dr. So be prepared for that. That's going to be provocative. We intend only to talk about science and not hurt anybody, not allow science to hurt anybody. That's the important thing. And we will get into it, and we will see you tomorrow at noontime Pacific, which is 3, those of you on the East. And good to talk to you, and thank you for being here, and we'll see you then tomorrow. Oh, wait, before I go, I want to remind everybody about our friends at the needle destruction device, guys. I'm still hot on this product. Speaking of homeless, this is the way you get rid of needles and needle sticks, which is a major source of disability and cost in this country. And then they've also started developing these UV sterilization lights, which we use. This is the one that can sterilize a room, if Susan would come back to me.
All right.
Sterilize a room. And this is the one that Susan and I take when we travel. It's for surfaces. 20 seconds does a lot. And it may be good for mold, too. They're starting to talk about it for mold. So I'm a big UVC advocate. So go to go to...
Get your Hydrolite.
Go to redhawkmedicaldevices.com to get these things, redhawkmedicaldevices.com. And then, of course, my friends at Hydrolite let us keep doing these streams, and we will keep doing them as long as they're behind us. Thank you very much for being here. We appreciate it very much. Susan, thank you for a good job. And we'll see you tomorrow with Dr. So. We'll see you then.
Real talk.
Headlines have become sickening. They become poisonous.
Dissecting headlines.
Defying state orders. Sheriff Bianco not enforcing what the governor is saying.
Dialed in with decision makers.
Clarify what you actually meant.
Get the answers you need.
At the beginning of this, we were told, don't wear a mask. Is this really helping?
Expect a different kind of newscast. Fox 11 News Special Report. Weeknights at 7.